Hello everyone, it's Jabari here, and first of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for helping me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers. It really means a lot to me, and it brings me just one step closer to being able to accomplish my goal of doing these videos full time. As a show of my gratitude, one lucky subscriber is going to win a $10 Amazon gift card, and I know it's not a whole lot, but it's just a little something to show my gratitude. Like, I could not have gotten here without you guys, quite literally actually. So again, I really appreciate it. And if you would like to be a part of this, comment the video as regularly, but as long as you include the words gift card somewhere within your comment, then you will be eligible to win. Just to warn you guys ahead of time, this is gonna be somewhat, not completely, but somewhat of a rant video. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and I really hope you enjoy my content. If you are a regular, you probably already know that my agenda with this channel is to spread knowledge of the ignored, neglected, and misunderstood aspects of black culture and history. Not just to black people, but to everyone of every race and from every part of the world. However, there tends to be a toxic trend among many black African enthusiasts, or Afrocentrics, trying to assert outrageous claims towards our people and our history. Unfortunately, comments like these tend to find a home in my comment section every day. These comments do more harm than good, and just make the world and our own people have even less respect for our culture and history, and make channels like mine, which actually bear factual information, less credible, especially to random viewers who come here seeking knowledge. These unfortunate people are so shrouded with pseudo-historic Afrocentric information that they end up very confused and don't even know what to believe anymore. From claiming the history of other cultures to treating the Bible as a black history book, I'm going to cover the top 5 things that annoy me the most about Afrocentric people. Number 5. Acting as if there's a global conspiracy to hide our history while making up their own truth without any references. Don't get me wrong, I know that at one point in history, white people view blacks as inferior and subhuman, and unfortunately, some still do to this day. Back during the days of extreme racism, we weren't even considered human beings, and this was actually used as a justification for enslaving us and treating us as second-class citizens. Even the scientific community did their best to reinforce these beliefs, and archaeologists would literally destroy real and true relics of our history, including ruins, artifacts, and manuscripts. With that being said, this isn't really to say that there aren't aspects of our history that have been destroyed or hidden, but in this day and age, with equality among all races and access to information literally in the palm of our hands, these things simply don't happen anymore. One can easily travel to any part of the world, access any information they'd like, and create videos, movies, and documentaries about anything their heart desires. Not only that, but there is simply no proof or evidence that our history is still being deliberately hidden or erased. Granted, I do agree that it needs more presence in the media, but there is nothing inherently holding us back from sharing our history, other than ourselves, and making excuses or inventing our history is not going to solve the problem. Number 4. Using the Bible and religion as a tool to validate our history. This one in particular is one of the worst. The main reason being that the Bible and the Christian religion aren't even of African origin. Christianity began in the Middle East and spread throughout Europe and parts of North Africa and Ethiopia. Our ancestors do not hail from any of those regions. Most American blacks can trace their ancestry from Western and Central Africa, more specifically places like Nigeria, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Mali, Benin, and Congo. Before European contact, the overwhelming majority of people in these regions practiced their own traditional religions, such as Vodun and Orisha worship, and in some areas they were Islamic. However, none of them were Christian until Europeans arrived. The only part of Africa that was Christian by the time of European arrival was Ethiopia, which are not related to American blacks whatsoever. To make matters worse, Christianity was used as a tool to force slaves to think that they were being saved by white men and to make them into passive subordinates. Sadly, this lingers on to this day, and most blacks are Christian simply because they are raised to be God-fearing, and if they deviate away from this at all, they'll risk burning in hell. So they really believe what they believe simply out of fear of not believing it. On top of all that, Christianity is a religion. It's not a history book. Sure, the Bible contains some references to historical events, but it is not a textbook. It is a religious manuscript. If you are taking talking snakes and men who walk on water as fact, that's your own choice, and I respect your decision, but you can't expect to force these facts or opinions on anyone. Nor can you use this as a credible source of information to validate our history, especially considering it wasn't even written by Africans. Number 3. Acting as though Egypt and Nubia are the only parts of African history worth mentioning. People talk about Egypt a lot in my videos. When people want to reinforce that Africans do have history, regardless if they are black or white, Egypt is usually the only thing they mention. Just because Egypt is in Africa does not mean that it is part of our history, nor is it the only African history worth mentioning. You have to remember, guys, Africa is a huge continent with over 1 billion people. Looking at Egypt as a source of your history would be no different than a Portuguese man looking at Russian history as his own. It simply doesn't make any sense. It also serves to reinforce the false belief that Africa south of the Sahara has no history worth mentioning. There's this image that Africa outside of Egypt was a land of tribes and villages, when in reality, it was riddled with many civilizations, cities, and kingdoms. Which, by the way, if you would like to see a few examples of this, check out my Cities Built by Africans series, which I'll leave links to at the end of this video. Africa is the second largest landmass in the world, and it boggles my mind how people can be so fixated on Egypt and Nubia to a lesser extent, that they totally neglect the rest of the continent. You people need to wake up and do some research on the millions of square miles of land located south of Egypt, which was home to many other unique and impressive ancient civilizations. Number 2. Trying to steal the history of others. Simply put, stop trying to steal history from other people. That is one of the most disgusting things you can possibly do. One big gripe from these extreme Afrocentrics is that the white man stole our history. Well, you know what? You are not doing any better by trying to steal other people's history, are you? Two wrongs don't make a right. There are many Afrocentric people out there who try to claim that Africans created every major civilization on Earth. Native Americans were copper-toned, straight, black-haired Mongoloids who inhabited the American continents. They grew and developed several different civilizations all throughout these lands, ranging from stone tool-using hunter-gatherer cultures to Bronze Age kingdoms who built cities of stone. They are distinct people with their own unique languages, cultures, traditions, and physical characteristics, none of which equate to Africans. I don't care what Ivan Sertima said in his book. Although interesting, he has no archaeological evidence to back his claims, just theories and observations. Statues and dolls that have curly hair do not automatically mean that the civilization has African origins. Then there are the dark-skinned peoples in other parts of the world, such as Australian Aboriginals and Polynesians, who people claim were of African descent. Newsflash, these features can all be explained by climate. It is common knowledge that hot and tropical areas with more sun generally have darker-skinned people, a genetic adaptation to protect their bodies from harmful UV rays. This is why Australia has the highest rate of skin cancer in the world. Its native people are dark-skinned, whereas its conquerors are fair-skinned. Genetically, culturally, and linguistically, natives of these regions are more similar to Southeast Asians than Africans. And just because their skin is the same color as ours does not mean we are the same people. If that logic made any sense, then that would mean that Latinos and Arabs are related just because they have similar features. In extreme cases, some Afrocentric people even try to take credit for every single major civilization, from Chinese to Romans, from Aztecs to Inca, from Egyptians to Persians. They try to claim that black people brought civilization to the entire world. If any of this stuff at all were true, from Native Americans being black to blacks being the fathers of all world civilization, the evidence should be slapping us in the face. Be proud of your own history and do some research before sweeping it under the rug and trying to claim someone else's as your own. Number 1. Fighting racism with racism. People who do any and everything they can to prove that white people are evil, primitive, barbaric, or uncivilized, and that we somehow saved them from their lives of savagery. Remember what I said about two wrongs don't make a right? Just like stealing history from others is wrong, racism is also wrong. Being a victim of it does not justify doing it to others. However, when it comes to these bigoted people, their primary agenda is to spread hatred towards whites and prove to the world that they are terrible human beings or monstrous entities. Sure, whites don't have the best track record when it comes to racism, genocide, or conquest, and in fact, they're probably responsible for the most mass deaths in all of human history. However, it wasn't their skin that did any of that. It was their civilizations and their cultures. It wasn't some collective 100% anti-colored, all-white effort that did it. Every human being is unique, and it's okay to hate the racists, but don't hate the race. If I meet a racist white guy, I have just as little respect for him as I would for you if you behave that way towards his race. I love all human beings on an individual basis, and until that individual loses my respect, he or she will continue to be loved by me regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, or nationality. If you believe that someone is inherently inferior to you in any way strictly due to their skin color, then you are an idiot, plain and simple. Oh, and I know this is supposed to be a top 5, but I'm gonna add in another little bonus clip for you guys. Arguably one of the most confusing and infuriating things I've had to deal with since the birth of this channel is the people, not just black people but whites too, but mostly black people, who are so fixated on the fact that I sound like a white boy that they completely ignore my content, completely ignore everything in the video, because all they can think about is the fact that I talked like a white person. So anyway, if you fit into this category at all, I got a few words for you.
Hey yo, yeah, YouTube, it's your boy Jabari here. I'm back at it again with another video for y'all. And no. See, that's what y'all don't get. That's not me. Just because I don't talk that way doesn't mean I'm not black. Okay? I talk the way I talk because speaking proper English is something that makes me feel comfortable. And what makes me feel comfortable is completely irrelevant to what you think I should sound like or what you think I should talk like. So here you go, idiots. Here I am, in the flesh. Are you satisfied? It's people like you who hold our race back, conforming to some stupid stereotypes and stupid social norms and ignoring your own individuality, walking, talking, and acting like idiots just to impress people and be accepted as a black person. What y'all need to do is wake up, grow up, and help your people instead of criticizing them for expressing their individuality.
So there you have it, guys. It's me, the white boy, in the flesh. It's the first you've seen of me, but it certainly won't be the last, because I plan on going live at least once a week. I will let you guys know and keep you updated whenever I do decide what schedule I'm going to have and what topics we will be discussing in my videos. Other than that, guys, as promised, I will leave the links to my Cities Built by Africans series at the end of this video, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to click that like button, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button.